What's going on, everybody? My name's Chris Shelton. I am a traditional bow hunter, and I've been a bow hunter for just a little over 15 years. Today I'm going to do things a little bit different. I'm going to kind of start this, let's call it like an avalanche of off-season content geared towards getting new people into hunting. And we're going to start that off today by doing a reaction video to a video I saw a little while ago. It's actually an old video. It was, let's see, released 1 year ago today. So it was released in 22. It's called, it's by Jubilee. It's part of their Middle Ground series. It's Hunters versus Vegans. I actually really enjoy reaction content on YouTube, so I thought I'd try my hand at making one of these videos myself, something a little bit more geared towards my wheelhouse. So being a hunter for most of my life, I thought this would be appropriate. It's a good video, so I'm going to put an AirPod in, and we're going to watch it together. This video is brought to you by me, myself, and I. You want to get yourself your very own Not a Flatlander shirt? I'm going to put a link in the description down below.
If we were all born like 3 centuries from now, the world has been globalized and like agriculture can reach every corner of the globe, how would that affect, if at all, your views or your choices?
Am I going to be judged if I say not at all?
I became vegan because I could no longer think about eating something that was once living and breathing.
The primary thing that keeps me vegan is just always the animal liberation. The idea that we are trying to push our ideas onto others. That stereotype I've experienced the most.
Hunting is a very hard concept for people to understand. I am in Texas, it's a lot more acceptable, even though being a woman who hunts, people still, have a really hard time with that concept.
I feel like a lot of people think vegans are more effeminate. People will question your sexuality oftentimes.
I grew up in a rural village, living off the land. The way we live is in total respect to the animals, and I think there's so much that people do not know about indigenous culture.
So right off the bat, very interesting group of individuals across the board. So usually it's like an even amount of people on either side. I was just reading the screen. It looks like one of the hunters didn't show up. So that's kind of interesting. We've got 2 female hunters, which females in the hunting community are they're actually the growing segment of the hunting community, males versus females, but there are still far fewer females than males. So not only do we have hunters giving their perspective, but they're female hunters, and they're both like on polar opposites of the spectrum too, because one's from Texas and the other one's she's Native American up in, I think she said, the Pacific Northwest. So that's pretty cool. I mean, that's polar opposite right there. Texas, no public land, usually not subsistence based, and then someone that's totally subsistence based. I wish there was like a ground pounding public lander in there too. Who knows who the last person was? Was it another female or male, or who knows what they do? Maybe they were some Africa guy or something. It's hard to tell, but interesting so far.
I'm vegan and I'm multiracial.
Hi, my name is Don-Marvens. I've been a vegan for coming on 6 years now. I'm a freelance photographer and I recently moved to the LA area.
My name is Nina. I'm 24. I've been vegan for coming up on 5 years now, and I'm a professional astrologer.
Hi, my name is Brittany. I'm Koyukon Dene from Alaska. I'm a first-generation college graduate, and I went to school in the California area, and I'm currently on a road trip visiting friends to learn whose land I'm on.
I'm Carly, I'm from Texas. I'm a wife, a mom. I also do sales and marketing consulting.
The first prompt is, I care about animals' well-being.
As a hunter, it's hard to explain how much we care.
Is that surprising to y'all that 2 hunters walked over?
I would love to hear why. Yeah, I would love to hear it.
Hunters have the utmost respect for animals. And I think that's a really hard thing for people to see. How can you love something and respect something that you kill? It's just a hard concept, right? Conservation is a big reason why I hunt. It not only provides food for my family, but I can shoot a certain number of deer each year, and that will keep that population and that herd thriving.
I guess I've never really came at this conversation from like an angle of vegans versus hunters. It's always vegans versus meat eater. So I understand, in a sense, the respect you have to what you're doing. I just know that I could never do that.
Yeah, and I think that for me is one of my maybe more bigger issues, is not with vegans, but it's more people who eat meat but don't understand hunting. So you're gonna eat meat that was slaughtered at a factory, but I can't just give a deer one swift, great bullet in the heart where it dies, out where it's supposed to die.
She brings up a very interesting point, and like the one guy is like, it's more vegans versus meat eaters, and I kind of like, I think of hunters versus meat eaters too. I think it's like so bizarre when someone has a big problem with hunters and then they go to the store and buy meat. So it's like, what's the difference? It's just, I go and do it myself. You guys go and buy it wrapped in plastic. Like, I know where it comes from. So that's a very weird concept to me too. But I like what she said there about like taking an animal swiftly, humanely, where it belongs, versus like transporting something from kind of like its own free, at least most of the time. Like factory farming is trash. I think we can all agree on that for the most part. But like ethical farming is like pretty humane, really. Like the animal lives its life free in a pasture, really has like mobility and stuff for most of its life. And then when it comes time, go and get slaughtered and turned into meat. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But at the same time, when you compare both of those scenarios to how nature usually is, hunting is incredibly humane. Like, I realize the animal still dies, but at the same time, it's dying in a quick, humane fashion. When nature takes a life, it's not quick, and it's usually not humane. If an animal's going to live a long life in the wild, if it somehow survives that long from predation and from other hunters, it's not going to be a swift, peaceful, lay in your bed at an old age type death. When animals get old, they become weaker, and they either starve to death because they can no longer get enough food to sustain themselves, or they're eaten alive by predators.
I was one of those people that said I could never even be vegetarian. Like, I was probably like the people that you're describing, just, you know, not having a connection to what they're eating. I didn't think about it. And then as streaming services go, I found a little documentary through the suggestion.
Documentary. Man, it's like, for as many people as a documentary have turned vegan, I promise you the right hunting film can totally change people's mindsets about hunting. There's just so much crap out there too.
If there was a solution, like just the magic happens, the skies part, and all the meat is like done in a way that is humane, would that make you more inclined to eat meat?
I think that you sort of get into the fundamentals of like, is it humane to kill something? I have to understand and respect and honor that, like, in indigenous cultures, you know, there's many reasons why people hunt. We would all be remiss if we didn't admit that, you know, at a time in human history, like, we needed animal protein and animal meat to survive. But today, it's not necessarily
They have these ideals that are kind of utopian in nature, and I just don't think it's very practical. I think that's the issue with most vegans. They have this idea that if we stop eating meat, animals will stop dying. And that's not reality. I don't get that mindset, really. Like, every living thing on earth lives and dies.
Necessity.
I was being taught ethical hunting by an ethical hunter. And again, I think that's a harder concept here, because trust me, like, they're asshole hunters. But that's what I saw conservation, and I saw ethical hunting, and I saw why we do it, and I saw the food. You know, I haven't bought beef, I mean, in 6-7 years.
Can I ask you a question that I'm kind of scared to ask?
And we'll see.
So you said that you're a mother, and if you think of like Bambi, do you ever consider the small baby animals that you're taking their parents away from them?
Okay. So Bambi doesn't
Bambi
exist.
doesn't exist.
Right. That's a Disney movie. If a mom is there with her yearlings, you would never kill that mom.
We have to follow like rules and regulations. I think that's what a lot of non-hunters don't understand. Like, we can't just go out during any time of year and kill animals. There are specific hunting seasons geared around maintaining the population, and they are built around mating seasons usually. So, for example, like deer season is usually in the fall. It goes from here in Maryland from September to January. The rut, the mating period for a whitetail, is usually like the first 2 weeks in November. And then there's a gestation period, and usually fawns are dropping right about now. It's June. We don't shoot mothers with Bambi and stuff. Like, the whole Bambi thing, I think the thing that irritates me the most about Bambi is that for Bambi to be that small and have spots, first of all, the bucks wouldn't be hard-horned. And if that's the case, you're shooting a deer in May or June for Bambi to be that small, in which case the true protagonist of Bambi is not a hunter at all. It is a poacher. And we're not on the side of poachers either. In fact, most hunters absolutely loathe poachers. Food for thought. Just food for thought.
Veganism is a privileged way of living.
If you have a choice of where you get to get your food and where it comes from, and even knowing about it is a privilege.
Not even veganism, but eating healthy is sometimes a very privileged thing to be a part of. Like, when I go to the store, like, healthy food is at a premium, and like cheap crap is like so easy to get. So I mean, just even eating healthy is at a premium, and veganism is a more selective version.
If we were all born like 3 centuries from now, the world has been globalized and like agriculture can reach every corner of the globe, how would that affect, if at all, your views or your choices?
Am I going to be judged if I say not at all?
I like that lady. That's pretty funny. Like, honestly, my answer would also be no. Like, if the majority of civilization moved into these big metropolises in the future, like, think any dystopian future, like where the majority of the population has to go to cities for jobs or something, I'm still going to be that mountain man in the woods. I'm not conforming to that bull crap.
I'm genuinely curious.
Yeah, I'm going to eat meat.
Do you guys have pets? Like, in other parts of the world, what you would consider your pet, some people would eat.
But that's there. I mean, like, I don't eat my dog, and I hope none of y'all eat my dog. But that's, I can't worry about someone in China eating dog.
Listen to me. I would go to war to end the dog shit in China. I would go to war to end that shit in China.
It's like, we can all try to make the world a better place. And
Do you guys consider hunting a privilege?
Hunting is 100% a privilege. It can be taken away. Obviously, it gets taken away from people all the time. Again, poachers, we're coming for you.
isn't everything a privilege? To a point, right? A lot of people are going literally in their backyard, shooting something, processing it in their house, and putting it right on the table for their family. Like, that to me is beautiful. Hunting can be really expensive. You basically have to have a huge ranch, or you have to spend a ton of money to hunt on someone else's ranch. And then I think what a lot of people see are, right, the trophy hunters and the going over to Africa and hunting.
There's the Texas perspective right there. You don't need those things to go hunting at all. In 99% of the country, Texas is the exception because they don't have any public land. I was wondering if the Africa thing was going to come up. That's a very different conversation, honestly. If you're talking about, like, this conversation should be vegans versus meat hunters, really. When you get trophy hunting involved in the conversation, it gets a little messy. Because, like, people aren't going over to Africa and shipping meat back. They just kind of leave it there. It gets eaten. Don't get me wrong. Like, the villages around these hunting outfits and stuff, they absolutely destroy the meat. I mean, they utilize all of it, which is amazing. But, like, I personally want to eat the meat myself. Like I know people that go hunt Africa, they get to try meat while they're there, but they're not bringing it back home and putting it in the freezer. And that to me takes out a large portion of it. You're definitely funding an economy basically. And I'm sure they're going to say something about how, you know, one elephant is worth so much money to a photo safari outfit in its lifetime or something like that.
I have not done that yet. That does not mean that I am not for it or against it. I do know that tourism in Africa is a huge moneymaker for them. I mean, those villages are really poor, and having an entire animal and multiple animals that hunters give them it's big for them.
My question with that would just be, why would it have to be a tourist? It kind of just sounds like the white savior complex narrative.
Because we're willing to pay a shitload of money.
I remember reading a statistic about like a single elephant in its lifetime can garner over $1 million just from photographic tourism.
Did I not call it? I just said that. Oh, I scared my dog awake by clapping. Go on, lay down, buddy. He's all right. He's all right. Here's the thing, though. Like if he's saying $1 million. An elephant is worth $1 million throughout its lifetime to like photo safaris and stuff like that. Just tourists coming to see them in the wild. I tend to believe it. I think that's a true statistic. Here's the thing. It's both. Like a hunter's not shortening the life of an elephant. When a hunter goes over to Africa to kill an elephant, they're doing it at the end of that elephant's life. Those elephants get to a point where they can no longer breed, but they're scaring away the younger bulls by being dominant males. So throughout an entire elephant's lifetime, it generates $1 million in revenue based on photo safaris and stuff like that. Then at the end of its life, a hunter comes in, pays an absorbent amount for a tag, pays for lodging, food, all that good stuff, and then takes that elephant out of the equation so that the population can be healthier. And again, you can go back to what I was saying earlier about living a fulfilling life, having a swift, humane death versus what nature usually is. How's an elephant going to die naturally? Like, what does that look like? Does that look like being ripped apart by a pack of lions? Or pride of lions, I guess is the correct term. Starving to death? Falling and breaking a leg in a body of water and drowning to death? Like, shoot me, please. Anyone listening, I get that old, that miserable, and it's not looking good. Just take me out. I beg you.
Hunting is only acceptable if it's for food.
Oh, wait, I agree with this.
Come on, Brittany. I had to
If this was asked first, I would have disagreed. But after hearing your story, it is necessary to an extent.
Hunting is only acceptable if it's for food. They're taking it, the vegans are taking it differently. They're saying that in their eyes, hunting is acceptable if it's for food. That's not what the question is. So I think they got a little mixed up there, but it's still kind of interesting conversation.
Mm-hmm. If you're hunting for food, then you're saying that your life is more important than that other animal's life, and that is more reasonable to me than saying that your pleasure or your trophy or whatever is more important than an animal's life.
I know that if people are not hunting, those deer are going to starve. There's not enough food, there's not enough water, there's not enough shelter. So to me, I will take one for the team and I will shoot a few deer this year to keep the land in check and the ecosystem in check.
I don't disagree that maintaining equilibrium of an ecosystem is important. My question to that would be like, what's actually sitting at the root cause of the deer overpopulation? Is the root cause that people aren't hunting enough, or is the root cause that their land is being taken away? But me making assumptions, hunting is a band-aid solution.
He seems like a decent guy, so I'm not trying to pick on him too much. But like when he says something about whitetail land being taken away, like development actually increases whitetail populations because they are edge habitat dwellers, meaning they like edge habitat where it goes from hardwood forests to open fields, and development just like exponentially increases the amount of edge habitat. So like, for example, I live an hour outside of DC. I drive the one spot where I killed my buck this year was 20 minutes outside of DC. Like, it's a very urban area. And there's just a lot more deer down there because of all the edge habitat. They do so much better. And then furthermore, a lot of this edge habitat is not huntable. So there's lots of places for these deer to go and lots of places for them to hide. And it's just like, they just explode in population. And then you have, you know, deer out of check.
My diet is healthier.
He knows. Oh my goodness.
Hey, girl.
Hey. The question is healthier than what? I chose to come up here because my diet is healthier than when I was not eating a vegan diet. I love a Beyond Burger. Is that healthier than eating rice, beans, and collard greens every day? No, it's not. Do I believe that eating plant-based is healthier than eating animal products? Yes.
Very interesting question. I think the problem here is, like, again, there's very little people that eat 100% just meat and vegetables and stuff that they harvest themselves. I think there's a very small portion. If it was a hunter, gatherer, farmer, their diet would be healthier. Like, if it was a person that lived 100% off the land, without a doubt, their diet would be healthier. Like, they just are eating cleaner. There's less additives and stuff. It's just by far. But if you're considering a person like me, I eat a lot of the meat I harvest. I eat a lot of crap too. So like, that's just, again, something I'm working on, but I work on the road, so it's hard. But I eat a lot of crap. And someone that eats a vegan diet of, like, you know, fresh greens and stuff and rice and like she said, rice, beans, and collard beans. Holy crap, that would be a healthy diet. But yeah, I don't know. If you're considering vegan to a meat eater, like, again, someone that's just eating fast food all day, of course it's going to be healthier.
And if you're super, super intentional and informed about what you're putting in your body, then it's going to be healthier than someone who's not.
That was very interesting. I'm not going to lie. Like, it's very interesting to put two kind of polar opposites together in the same room like that. I mean, I've seen these middle ground videos before, so that's not new to me at all. But to see a hunter and a vegan together like that, very interesting. I wish there was a third, because I think there needed to be some balance. But either way, still a cool video. I don't think anybody left there with their mind changed, which is to be expected. Like, if I showed up there, I wouldn't be like, yeah, I'm gonna go and be vegan. So that's interesting. But anyways, if you like this video, go ahead and leave a comment, tell me what you guys think. If you are just trying to get into hunting, or you've been hunting for a really long time, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. If you're not a hunter and you're just curious about what our lifestyle's like, also go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Oh, before I go, don't forget, go adventure.